Top priority as millions of jobs disappear, an urgent plea from the president-elect. Will Congress listen? Piling on, snow and ice sweeping across the country, and a warning tonight of what's to come. Safe at home, an aspiring ball player shot by police in his own driveway. What happened? And the giveaway. See how far they're willing to go to get you to buy.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt. Substituting tonight, Amy Robach.
Good evening. President-elect Barack Obama is working around the clock just days before he takes office, trying to sell his nearly $800 billion plan to pull this nation out of a year-long recession. This after some staggering new unemployment numbers that underscore the urgency of the task at hand. NBC's John Yang is at the White House with the latest. John, good evening.
Good evening, Amy. Barack Obama won't be moving into the Oval Office for another 10 days, but he's already asserting himself on the economy. With unemployment at a 16-year high, today President-elect Obama made another urgent plea for his stimulus package.
If nothing's done, economists from across the spectrum tell us that this recession could linger for years, and the unemployment rate could reach double digits.
The plan hasn't even been written yet, but in an interview with ABC News to be broadcast tomorrow, Obama sought to lower expectations and prepare Americans for sacrifice.
Not everything that we talked about during the campaign are we going to be able to do on the pace that we had hoped. Everybody's going to have to give. Everybody's going to have some skin in the game.
Alarm over the economy is mounting daily. 2.6 million jobs vanished last year, the most since 1945. As economists and congressional Democrats question whether Obama's plan is big enough, the president-elect again upped the ante on its promised results. He released a 14-page report by his top economists claiming the yet-to-be-drafted proposal would create or save between 3 and 4 million jobs in the next 2 years, nearly 4 times his original campaign promise of 1 million. The report claims job growth would be especially strong in construction and manufacturing, workers represented by unions that were big campaign backers.
The scope of the problem appears to be growing with every passing week, and so he's got to cast a solution that's large enough for the problem.
Obama's economic team may have the Bush administration ask Congress next week for the remaining $350 billion in the Financial Rescue Fund. That way, the new Obama administration can have immediate access to the money. But Congress has made clear there will be strings attached.
If they are going to spend the second $350, as I think they should, I think there is a need for it in the economy, it will be done in a reasonable way.
This afternoon, Obama had lunch at a local landmark, capping a whirlwind first week in Washington as president-elect. He went to Capitol Hill to talk with the bipartisan leadership about the economy, gave a nationally televised address on the topic, and had an historic White House meeting with his 4 living predecessors as the transition to the Obama presidency began in earnest. Next week, another milestone in the transition. The Obamas will move out of the hotel they've been staying in and into Blair House, the official presidential guest residence, which is just across the street from the White House. Amy?
And John, we understand that the president-elect has some bipartisan inauguration plans. Tell us about them.
That's right, Amy. He says he wants to bring a new atmosphere to Washington, and then as part of that, the night before he's inaugurated, he'll host dinners honoring Colin Powell, who endorsed him late in the campaign, and John McCain, the man who ran against him. Amy?
NBC's John Yang at the White House. Thank you. And David Gregory will have much more on the president-elect's priorities and agenda tomorrow morning on Meet the Press. Well, another winter blast is sweeping across the country. It's left much of the Midwest struggling under a thick blanket of snow and threatens to bury sections of the Northeast now. NBC's Mike Taibbi has the latest.
For parts of the Great Lakes region, it might be the storm of the season so far. Up to a foot of snow in Chicago. Fun for kids of all ages, like Mark Tepper and his son Eddie.
We're taking advantage by making a snowman.
But no fun at all for many, from Cleveland and other Ohio cities, where the roads and highways were a mess.
It is treacherous travel out there, snow covered everywhere.
To Detroit, where the storm paused but offered no relief.
There is some good news, and that is it's not snowing as hard as it was. The bad news is it is just frigid out here.
The snow accumulations led to a predictable nightmare for air travelers, with hundreds of flights canceled or delayed. And that nightmare will continue as the Arctic storm system that poured south over the Great Lakes makes its way toward New England overnight. There are those who say harsh winter weather shouldn't surprise anyone from the Northeast to the Midwest.
You know what? It is what it is. It's part of living in Wisconsin.
But this storm is a dangerous one. In Indiana, the road's so slick that tow trucks have stopped responding to accidents, some involving the Highway Department's own sand and salt trucks. And in Pittsburgh and points north and east, everyone bracing for a blizzard that at times dropped 2 inches of frigid snow per hour. Part of living in snow country, but not the fun part. Mike Taibbi, NBC News, New York.
Weather Channel meteorologist Mike Seidel joins us now from Times Square. And Mike, it's not just the snow we're talking about, but bitter cold temperatures still to come.
That's right. First, let's get the snow out of the way, Amy. Tonight, that storm is heading into Boston and Hartford. Take a look at radar out of the northeast, and a swath of heavy snow from the Poconos to the Catskills. Good for skiing, not great for driving. Hartford, Providence, Boston, southern New Hampshire, Vermont, look for 6 to 10 inches of snow. This will wrap up in Boston by lunchtime tomorrow. Count on delays at Logan the first part of the day. Now on to the cold air late next week, Amy. If you've heard, Alaska has been shivering recently, sub-zero cold, morning, noon, and night. Some of the temperatures the past couple of days, 60 below zero. The jet stream is going to buckle and bring some of that down into the lower 48. Look at these highs. The Arctic Express hitting the Midwest and Northeast Thursday and Friday. Minneapolis, 1 degree for a high, well down below zero for a low. Chicago with a high of 9. Then we move to Friday. Look at the high temperatures. Green Bay, 6. The high in New York City, only around 10 to 15 Thursday and Friday. Amy, these numbers are a good 20 degrees below average for some, the coldest so far this winter. And don't forget the wind chill, 20 to 30 below zero at times. So some teeth-shattering weather and some dangerous cold heading in later next week. Amy?
Mike Seidel, thanks so much. Israel and Hamas today once again ignored international calls for a ceasefire. Israel dropped leaflets warning of an escalation in military action. And in the deadliest attack of the day, an Israeli shell killed 9 people as they sat in an outdoor garden. More than a dozen rockets were reportedly fired from Gaza into Israel. Of the 800 Palestinians who have been killed in the 15 days of fighting, nearly 1/3 are children, many of whom are too young to understand why there is fighting in the first place. Here's NBC's Martin Fletcher.
Playtime in Gaza. The noise is a falling shell. Nowhere is safe, not in the street, not even at home. Mahmoud was playing on his roof Sunday and was killed by a chunk of searing steel from yet another explosion. He was 12 years old. 40% of Gaza's population is under 14, with nowhere safe to play. Mahmoud's elder brother Ashraf, a freelance NBC producer, carried him to his grave. Mahmoud's friends are shocked and wonder who's next. I'm too afraid to go play in the street, Hassan says. The street is a horror show. It's always been tough for kids in Gaza, and now it's the worst they've known. No school, no heat, little light, and often hungry. Toys are almost unheard of. The Save the Children organization says that even before the fighting, 50,000 children in Gaza were malnourished. Half the children under 2 are anemic. These boys heat their bread in an abandoned building, a so-called safe house, after their own homes were destroyed. But Gaza is so small and densely populated, there's nowhere to hide. We've seen mutilated bodies, Mahmoud says. All day long we're terrified, and at night we just stay awake. Palestinian psychologists say today many children are so stressed they won't let their mothers out of their sight.
War is adding another layer of trauma to the already traumatized children of Gaza.
Back in Mahmoud's house, his cousin Wafas says she's always cold. She shivers when the bombs fall, and every time there's a bang, she says, she thinks of Mahmoud. Martin Fletcher, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Vice President-elect Joe Biden made a surprise visit to Afghanistan today, meeting with Afghan President Hamid Karzai and military leaders. The Obama administration is expected to send an additional 30,000 American troops to that region this year. Back here at home, one commander-in-chief paid tribute to a former who just happens to be his father. The two Presidents Bush were in Norfolk, Virginia for the commissioning of an aircraft carrier named for the 41st president. NBC's Patty Culhane was on hand for that ceremony.
With a little prodding and a whole lot of pageantry, President Bush welcomed the newest ship into the Navy's fleet.
Laura and I are thrilled to be here to help commission an awesome ship and to honor an awesome man.
The man, his father, former President George H.W. Bush.
Those who are sitting out there where I was 65 years ago, preparing to serve aboard your new ship, I wish I was sitting right out there with you, ready to start the adventures of my naval aviation career all over.
He was shot down and rescued by a submarine at sea, flying 58 combat missions in all, today remembering those he served with.
I feel like Phyllis Diller when she said, "All my friends are dying in alphabetical order, but I'm glad to be here."
The $6.2 billion aircraft carrier was contracted just 6 days into President Bush's presidency, finished with just 10 days left in office.
So what do you give a guy who has been blessed and has just about everything he has ever needed? Well, an aircraft carrier.
With the former president's daughter issuing the traditional call for sailors to come aboard.
Officers and crew of the USS George H.W. Bush, man our ship and bring her to life.
The carrier officially enters the fleet. For the family that doesn't talk much about legacy, this will be theirs for at least 50 years to come. In Norfolk, Virginia, Patty Culhane, NBC News.
The trip to Norfolk to honor his father marked the end of an era for President Bush, as the flight back to Washington was the president's last scheduled flight on Air Force One. His next flight will be as a private citizen when he returns to Texas following the inauguration. Mr. Bush will fly as a guest of the president, and the plane will no longer be designated Air Force One. When Nightly News continues this Saturday night, a new controversy for Prince Harry. Also ahead, a police shooting in Texas that is raising serious questions tonight. A young man is shot in his own driveway as his parents looked on. What happened? Later, you may not believe what some dealers are willing to do to get you to drive a new car off the lot. Details coming up. There are now 3 separate investigations into a controversial police shooting outside Houston involving the son of a former Major League Baseball player. The 23-year-old, an aspiring ball player in his own right, remains hospitalized with a bullet lodged in his liver after an incident that's raised a lot of questions and outrage. NBC's Charles Hadlock reports.
Robbie Tolan had gone out for burgers with his cousin. After returning home, a Bel Air police officer approached them as they walked toward their house.
He didn't even put on his lights to say, "Hey, I'm a police officer." He came with us with a gun.
The officer accused them of driving a stolen SUV. The family's attorney says Tolan's mother tried to assure the officer that the vehicle was theirs. But the officer, he says, pushed her into the garage door. The family says Tolan, who was still on the ground, turned toward the officer.
He simply turned around and said, "Don't do that to my mother." He was probably 15 feet away from the officer at this point, who had just thrown his mother against the garage door. At that point, the officer drew his service revolver and shot him in the chest.
The vehicle, it turned out not to be stolen. Why they thought it was stolen, how they got a stolen report, I'm not clear yet.
Tolan is a minor league ball player, the son of Bobby Tolan, who played for the St. Louis Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds and made it to the World Series.
The Bel Air Police Department know what they did.
The Tolans say what happened in the front yard of their mostly white neighborhood is a clear case of racial profiling.
I think there is no question but that this has to do with racial profiling. There's simply no other explanation for it.
What is a great city in all respects.
The city council has offered its sympathies.
My thoughts and prayers have been with the Tolan family and Mr. Tolan every day and will continue to be.
The shooting is the first big case to cross the desk of Harris County's newly sworn-in district attorney.
I just want to make it clear that as an independent investigation, each side should be assured that it will be fair.
Bel Air police say that what happened in the Tolan's front yard is not a case of racial profiling. but they've declined to discuss the shooting, a shooting that has left a once promising athlete with an uncertain future. Charles Hadlock, NBC News, Bel Air, Texas.
Britain's Prince Harry has apologized after a British newspaper said it had video of the prince using racist terms about people from Pakistan and of Arab descent. The comments were made during an army training session 3 years ago as Harry filmed some of his fellow soldiers. The palace statement said the prince did not intend any malice and was sorry for causing any offense. Up next, our special series, America's Agenda and the challenge of cleaning up the environment. The new administration stimulus plan estimates the creation of at least 500,000 jobs to help the nation move away from foreign and fossil fuels. But as we hear from NBC Chief Environmental Affairs correspondent Ann Thompson, that move could prove one of the toughest challenges on America's agenda.
When it comes to the environment, President-elect Obama has a clear vision.
To control our own destiny, America must develop new forms of energy and new ways of using it.
Clean energy made in America that would reduce carbon dioxide, the greenhouse gas fueling climate change. Candidate Obama proposed cutting carbon emissions through a cap-and-trade program. Industries producing carbon dioxide over set limits would buy allowances to pay for clean energy technology. The obstacles are enormous. 98% of our transportation and 70% of our electricity comes from fuels that produce carbon, oil, gas, and coal. And the transition to a new energy economy will cost billions in the midst of a recession. Still, environmental advocates are undaunted.
You don't have to choose between the environment and the economy. In fact, what you do to fix the economy can fix the environment too.
Moving to clean energy would create new technologies, new industries, and new jobs, they argue. But the growing momentum to regulate carbon has created uncertainty for industries, particularly power plants, making some financing and development nearly impossible. Attorney Gordon Alfonso advises power companies. He says they know regulation is coming. What they want are reasonable goals and financial help to meet them.
Give us time to develop the technology and we'll get a cost-effective way of controlling emissions.
The problem and the solutions extend far beyond America's borders, and on this issue, the whole world will be watching. UN Foundation President Tim Wirth says the world wants American leadership.
The U.S. is the global cavalry, and once we come charging in, it's going to make a huge difference.
Facing huge challenges, stopping climate change, increasing energy security, and growing the economy to keep America beautiful. Ann Thompson, NBC News, Washington.
You can see all of our reporting on America's Agenda by logging onto our website, nightly.msnbc.com. For one Fresno woman, a fortune was in the cards, but she almost let it slip away. She put this old baseball card on eBay with the price starting at $10, but a friend told her to stop the auction immediately. Turns out the 72-year-old antiques dealer owns one of the first baseball cards ever made. Some experts say she could get more than $100,000 if she tries to sell it again. And take a look at this moon over Miami. This very full moon is the largest we expect to see this year. If you can see it tonight, the moon will be about 30% brighter than other full moons this year as it approaches the horizon. When we come back, wheels and deals. Just how far will some car dealers go to make a sale? Tough times for the auto industry make it a car buyer's market. And with deals like 2 for the price of 1, dealers' desperation means big bargains for consumers. Here's NBC's Kevin Tibbles.
Right now, you'll find unprecedented values.
For consumers, there's just no escape from the constant barrage of new car ads.
Get huge savings like $6,000 cash back.
It's like being a guest on a game show.
It's time for Let's Make a Deal.
And the dealers are begging you to come on down.
Some amazing deals.
If the deal's good enough, they're looking to make a deal.
In Boise, Idaho, it's buy one, get one free. As in buy a high-end SUV and they'll throw in a $13,000 Chevy.
We sold vehicles in Louisiana, Texas, as far away as Alaska, and it's just been crazy, the response.
At this Florida Dodge dealership, it's 2 trucks for the price of 1.
That's definitely a good deal.
It's good to see it. To make ends meet and clear out inventory, dealers are pulling out all the stops to get you in the showroom.
The bottom line is this is an excellent time to buy a vehicle. We haven't seen incentives like this in years.
In today's economy, wanting a new car and being able to afford one are two different things. And with so many concerned about job security, one car company, Hyundai, is now offering the worry-free sale. If you lose your job, you can take the car back.
Buy any new Hyundai, and if in the next year you lose your income, we'll let you return it.
It's very timely to give the consumers something in the economy that will address some of their concerns.
I think this is going to be very good for people with a slower economy.
And the deals don't stop with the dealer. In suburban Detroit, buyers of new cars from the Big Three are being treated to their first fill-up for free.
We realize that it's going to take every American to save America, and that's why we did it.
Courting consumers perhaps like never before to help turn the ailing auto industry around. Kevin Tibbles, NBC News, Chicago.
Finally tonight, the giving tree. Throughout the holidays, we've shared our view of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree right outside our studios. Well, the holidays are over and the tree is gone from the plaza, but it's literally found a new home. It was milled this morning into boards for Habitat for Humanity homes. Now that's a really green tree. And that is NBC Nightly News for this Saturday. I'm Amy Robach. Lester Holt has landed, and we'll see you tomorrow morning on Today. Have a great night.